Welcome into the Solo Shot Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Dom Manna. Happy Solo Shot Saturday, everybody. I know it's a rainy day. A lot of games are getting pushed back or postponed, but I appreciate any of you who take the time to either catch this live or post recorded. We now have over a month of baseball to analyze and go over and really start to see what these teams are made of. It's a long season. Teams that have struggled can improve, and teams that have done really well can come back down to earth. But it's been really fun. There are 508 solo shot swag home runs this season. Had a huge week, over 100 home runs, including 4 straight days with 17, which was pretty crazy for me keeping track to see it consistently be 17 a day. And we were one solo shot home run yesterday off of there being 17 for 5 straight days. As you can see from the intro, I'm piggybacking the conversation from last week, talking about the small market teams that have been really fun to watch and why the beginning of the season, while everyone's still in it, are so fun. The Pittsburgh Pirates have been unbelievable, not just hitting bombs with guys like Connor Joe, Andrew McCutchen back from the dead, but this team has a legit all-star in Brian Reynolds, who before the season was looking to get a long extension over $100 million, and the Pirates had never handed out one of those contracts before. But after this month of amazing baseball, with Brian Reynolds as one of the catalysts, they signed him to an 8-year, $106 million deal. And seeing a small market team sign their guy like that is just awesome, because almost every Pirates fan I know of was expecting him to be traded this offseason or by midseason. Getting to keep one of those guys, getting to have little Pirates fans be able to buy a guy's jersey and not have to worry about that guy getting traded in a year. That's really awesome. And the Pittsburgh Pirates, led by quality start pitching, were able to go toe-to-toe with the Los Angeles Dodgers. I understand they're not at full strength. James Outman and Max Muncy have been taking on a bigger load than they were expected to. But that was impressive to see the Pirates really competing with the big boys in LA. They've jumped up my rankings significantly and are now in my top 10. I don't know how long this ride is going to last, but there is not a single baseball fan I know of that isn't happy for Pirates fans right now. It is so awesome. It's the Pirates year, and you just got to enjoy it. Having Andrew McCutchen come back was such a big thing for that city, and while there was not big expectations for them, Andrew McCutchen playing for his hometown Pirates, you can't beat that. I am very excited to get into the standings deep dive. Now, my first ranking change, I didn't move anyone up or down more than 3 spots because there was still a lot that I wanted to see. Now that we have a month sample size of these teams, I was willing to really be aggressive with some of my guys going up and some of them going down. And there's a lot of teams that are going to be maybe moving up or down a spot each week, depending on how they play. Despite Houston finally getting to the Tampa Bay Rays, I still have them as the number 1 team in all of baseball. 22-5. They hit a home run 23 straight major league games. And they're pitching despite Jeffrey Springs being out for the season. And despite them waiting for Tyler Glasnow, has been fantastic. Taj Bradley has come up, their number 1 pitching prospect. and been a real big league starter, a guy that can give you quality innings. And the Rays are just a factory. They're making me look really bad for having them outside of my playoff picture. It's not that I had them being a below 500 team. I just thought some of these other teams would take strides to be closer to 90 wins than the Rays would. But this month alone has put the Rays in a great position to be in the playoffs. And unless something drastic happens and their whole team gets the injury bug, they're going to stay towards the top of the rankings. In the AL East, I had Toronto winning the division, and I still feel better about Toronto in terms of winning the division than I do the Yankees. I know a lot of people pick the Yankees to begin the year to win that division. Carlos Rodon is still not back. They're waiting on him. And Anthony Volpe is finally starting to hit. Of course, as soon as I drop him in fantasy, you start losing him. But it is awesome to see the Yankees really have a top of the lineup that is great. And of course, the bottom of the lineup kind of struggling to get things going. Will they make a trade? Will one of these young players like Volpe start to consistently hit? There's a lot that I am excited to see with the AL East, but I still do think Toronto, just top to bottom, that pitching staff and that lineup, they're in a much better place than the New York Yankees. And when it comes to the Baltimore Orioles and the Boston Red Sox, the Orioles showed in multiple series now that they are probably the better team. And it's a tough pill to swallow. I didn't want my Red Sox to lose the division 2 straight years, but the O's are a fun team to watch. Adley Rutschman's going to get MVP votes, and they're surprisingly getting good pitching out of Walls and Grayson Rodriguez. So the Baltimore Orioles, while I don't think they will make the playoffs, are definitely going through to better days in the American League. Minnesota is the only team in the AL Central right now that I have any faith in. I know Cleveland has a get-right series right now against the Red Sox, but the only team that's hitting above league average is the Twins. They have Joey Gallo resurging. They brought back Carlos Correa. He's been great. And they have a plethora of young guys that can still hit. I think the Minnesota Twins are going to continue to be the team that you want to see in the American League Central. Guardians fans, I'm not going to count your team out completely. If any team is going to catch them, it looks like it's going to be you. But the Minnesota Twins, I think, have a serious gap that's even larger than the games they're ahead in that division with the way they're playing baseball. If you're a fan of the Royals, the Tigers, this season's not looking great so far, but I urge each and every one of you to go to a game and watch Miguel Cabrera one last time. I know I talked about it in episode 1, but you have a living legend in Miguel Cabrera. See him have his tour, and I would love to see him have one of those stretches like Albert Pujols did in the second half last year and really remind everybody how great he is, but it doesn't matter. You get to see a first ballot Hall of Famer live, and the tickets against Detroit will probably be some of the more affordable tickets that you can get to go see your favorite team. So the Royals, the White Sox, the Tigers, not looking good so far, but still a lot of baseball left to be played. The AL West is really interesting. I hate myself for the Tampa Bay Rays prediction. It's really been eating at me. But I had the Rangers being a surprise team and a team that was kind of overlooked by a lot of people. They have been really fun to watch. They have an electric lineup. Jacob deGrom, when healthy, is one of the best pitchers in all of baseball. The Texas Rangers are a legit wild card team. And while I do think Houston will retake that division, they showed against Tampa that they're still one of the best teams in the American League. Having the Rangers being competitive is a great thing for that division. You see the Mariners and the Angels are both fighting to be relevant. A big storyline to watch for the Angels going forward next month and into the All-Star break is how close are they going to be to the playoffs? Because if they start to fall into the clear fourth place in that division ahead of the A's, I would not be shocked if Shohei Ohtani is traded somewhere else. And that is crazy to think about. I don't even know what half a season of Shohei Ohtani is worth, but I would have to believe it's worth more than any other player we've ever seen traded for a half-season rental, especially because that team would get the first chance to extend him before he hits free agency. So Shohei Ohtani, amazing. He's making it safely to the bag on a routine ground ball. He's striking out everybody he faces. Third time through the lineup, they can't even hit the ball. He is a electric specimen that we are all lucky to watch. The National League East, the Atlanta Braves have owned that division, and I expect them to continue to own that division. The New York Mets are a very good team. I'm excited to see Justin Verlander back in action. But right now, with Max Scherzer's suspension, with Senga being good but not great his last couple starts, you start to wonder how close the Mets are really going to make this race. The Phillies have had tons of injuries already. They're expecting Bryce Harper to be the fastest return from Tommy John ever, and maybe to play some first base. I still don't think they should rush Bryce Harper. That's a guy that you have locked up for the long term. Your division is stacked. The Marlins are improved. The Nationals, despite not being exciting to anybody, strike out the least in Major League Baseball. They're giving quality at bats. I would not be super excited if I wasn't a Braves fan in the National League East. You're really just playing for the wild card with the way the Braves are rolling. A healthy Ronald Acuna is the best player in the National League. And that is very scary for every other fan in the National League. The Central is where we get back to the Pirates. I didn't realize that they had this kind of pitching. I don't think anyone really did. If they continue to pitch like this, they will have a legitimate chance of making the playoffs. Now, it's a long season. A lot of pitchers have hot streaks and low streaks, but Pittsburgh is one of the best stories in baseball right now. I know some people are probably going to start getting sick of hearing it, expect them to come back down to earth. They might not be first place the entire season in the NL Central, but Pirates fans, I think there's a lot to be excited about. This team really gives me the vibes of the 2022 Baltimore Orioles, who went from worst to basically 500. And I expect this Pirates team to be maybe a little bit over 500 if the pitching is able to stick, because that's the thing the Orioles did not have last season, was quality pitching to go along with their fun bats. If you're a St. Louis Cardinals fan, it's been a rough beginning to the season. Not only do you lose two pillars in the clubhouse in Albert Pujols and Yadier Molina, but you also have this slow start to Adam Wainwright's final season where the bats aren't consistently getting it done. You had two MVP candidates last year in Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt. Lars Nootbaar is a Japanese sensation, but you just have a lot of things going wrong. I didn't address the Tyler O'Neill benching early because he was able to come back and hit a monster home run. But the Cardinals just seem to have this problem where they have a lot of guys who are too good to be stuck in the minor leagues, but they're not consistent enough to be everyday players in the majors. You see that with Dylan Carlson and Tyler O'Neill. Paul DeJong got called back up because of an injury. They have a lot of good but not great players, and it really looks like they could have used some of these assets that are younger to go get Juan Soto last trade deadline. And I think you'd be looking at a much different Cardinals lineup with Soto in between Goldschmidt and Arenado. I think they're going to bounce back, But if they continue down this trajectory, it's going to be tough because I don't see two teams from the NL Central making the playoffs as of right now. I think there's a chance with the Cardinals getting better and the Pirates staying hot that there are two teams that make it out of there, but there definitely will not be three teams in the NL Central that end up making the playoffs. The Milwaukee Brewers are the most complete team right now. Corbin Burnes and Brandon Woodruff, they have legit ace stuff there, and the lineup just continues to hit. Christian Yelich isn't the guy that was the MVP, but he is a very good player, and they're getting contributions from Brian Anderson and young players like Joey Wiemer and Bryce Terang, Garrett Mitchell. This team really has the makings of a potential team that could do a deep playoff run because they have the great combination of elite pitching with great bats. We kick it out to the National League West finally to wrap things up here. If you're a Diamondbacks fan, you are loving the new rules because your team is game planning perfectly to them. They have a ton of speed and are using it to produce runs the old-fashioned way. And they have Zach Gallen, who has legit number one stuff, dealing as a pitcher, 28 scoreless inning streak. That guy is a dog. And seeing him deal with those glasses, it is really fun. The Diamondbacks are a legitimate contender in that division. The Padres and Dodgers are spending a lot more on payroll right now, but they don't have the juice that the Diamondbacks have right now. The Dodgers, I think, will be just fine. I've kept them consistently in my top 10. I think when you have Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman, you will figure things out. And seeing guys like Max Muncy and James Outman step up, I think this team will continue to just come together, make quality games, and just have a fundamentally sound baseball team. I don't see this team collapsing in the way that some other teams have the potential to collapse with an injury or one guy really struggling. And we throw it to San Diego, who now has Fernando Tatis Jr. back in the lineup. He looks better in the outfield so far than Jazz Chisholm. I don't think either of them really need to be out there, but Fernando Tatis is an electric player, and I expect him, once he gets his feet back under him, to be a quality middle of the lineup bat. Xander Bogaerts, I hate to say it, looks really good in those Padre colors and has been their most consistent hitter. Manny Machado and Juan Soto, I think, will continue to heat up. They're struggling a little bit to get adjusted to working faster with the pitch clock, but that will come. They're too talented to not be able to figure it out. There's a lot to look ahead with this baseball season, but I do think that talking about these early award candidates is important. I talked about it earlier. Ronald Acuna is the best player in the National League right now, and he will be able to walk away with the MVP award if he continues this play. He's stealing bases. He's hitting for a high average, and he is the spark plug that makes that Braves offense one of the best in all of baseball. I don't think anybody would be able to catch Ronald Acuna if he stays healthy and playing like this. In the American League, Shohei Ohtani is possibly going to win the Cy Young Award this year. And if Shohei Ohtani wins the Cy Young Award and hits 30 bombs like he typically does, I expect him to win the MVP. It took Aaron Judge breaking a crazy old American League record for him to steal the MVP away, have that 10-win season. Unless an American League player has a 10-win season, I don't think Shohei Ohtani is going to lose this MVP award, and he'll walk into the offseason possibly a two-time MVP winner and Cy Young winner. That is a scary combination of things there. Obviously, Jacob deGrom has been amazing, Dylan Cease, but Shohei Ohtani has the lowest ERA, has been striking out everybody. And the more times you see him, the worse it gets for teams. My Red Sox got a total save on Patriots Day for the rain out, taking him out of the game because they were not going to hit Shohei Ohtani. There's a lot of teams in baseball that are not going to hit Shohei Ohtani. As great of a hitter as he is, I think he is cementing that he is a better pitcher at the big league level. And I'm excited to see where he takes it from here. I feel really good about my American League Rookie of the Year pick, Josh Young. He leads American League rookies in runs batted in. And just part of this Texas resurgence, he's been a quality hitter, fine with the glove. And I think the offensive numbers are just going to be there. I think he has the potential to be a 25 to 30 home run guy. And if Josh Young does that, guys like Gunnar Henderson and Anthony Volpe, they're not going to be able to compete with that. Those guys aren't 20 home run guys. They're maybe 15 home run guys. So I like Josh Young still in the American League Rookie of the Year race. The National League Rookie of the Year race, though, James Outman is clearly the front runner ahead of Jordan Walker. Walker started his career with 12 straight games with a hit, but he just hasn't been so good that the Cardinals have made him a mainstay in the lineup every single day. He's been benched for Alec Burleson, Dylan Carlson, Tyler O'Neill, Lars Nootbaar. Getting those guys involved, they kind of have just too many guys and not enough spots. So Jordan Walker would have to really heat up, I think, to win National League Rookie of the Year. It's still a long season. I expect him to stay in the majors the entire season, barring injury. But Jordan Walker, as the National League Rookie of the Year pick, is not looking as locked in as it would have looked back in early May and April. So we throw back to third base here on the show. And I talked about a 3,000 strikeout pitcher last week with John Smoltz. Today, I had the opportunity to pick between Roger Clemens' 20 strikeout game in 1986 against the Mariners, or I could honor a guy that didn't cheat the game and a guy that truly is overlooked in the history of baseball with lefty Steve Carlton, who was the first left-handed pitcher to strike out 3,000 on this date when he struck out Tim Wallach of the Montreal Expos. Steve Carlton has 4 Cy Young Awards, over 4,000 strikeouts, over 300 wins, won multiple World Series, and the man is never talked about when you're talking about the greatest pitchers that ever played the game. As a human being, Steve Carlton was very aloof. He wasn't a fan favorite in terms of being like a man of the people. He's a little out there as a person, but as a pitcher, there is nothing denying how great he was. A lot of people point to that amazing 72 season with the Phillies, where he accounted for a huge chunk of the team's wins that year for a team that was really bad. And he stuck with those Phillies teams until they were good and helped them close the deal in 1980, winning a World Series. Steve Carlton, you're talking left-handed pitchers, Randy Johnson, Sandy Koufax, Warren Spahn. Those are maybe the only left-handed pitchers that I would put ahead of Steve Carlton all time. And Warren Spahn's close. When Steve Carlton crossed the 3,000 strikeout milestone, he was the all-time leading strikeout pitcher for left-handers until, obviously, Randy Johnson came to town. Both of them in the 4,000 strikeout club. Only 4 players in history have 4,000 plus strikeouts, and 300 wins and 3,000 strikeouts are guarantees for the Hall of Fame, unless you did steroids. Steve Carlton does not get appreciated enough, and as this Philly season has been more negative than positives thus far, I wanted to shine light on lefty Steve Carlton joining the 3,000 strikeout club on this date in baseball history, April 29th. Appreciate all the support. I see we got plenty of comments of people hanging out in the chat. And as we round home, we look ahead next month into the season. And there's a lot of interesting storylines going on with team trends. The Rays finally have gotten beaten at home, but their home record is still the best in baseball. Will teams be able to continue to get them at home, or is it an aberration? You have a team in the Kansas City Royals who only have 6 wins this season. 5 of them are on the road. They have not been able to defend their home field. And will they be able to bounce back with that young talent on that team, Bobby Witt, Vinny Pasquantino, and win some games for the home fans? My prediction for this month is that we will cross the 1,000 mark on solo home runs. We are currently at 508. I think 1,000 solo shots is in the realm of possibilities, despite the new rules being put in place to make it look like there will be more base hits and ground balls to get through the infield. Home runs in Major League Baseball are significantly up right now. Teams don't care if there's a shift or not. If they can hit a home run, they are going to do so. So 1,000 solo shots by the end of May. I think that's very much in the realm of possibilities. While many games will get rained out or postponed today, I appreciate you guys all tuning in. It means a lot to me. I've been recording here at ETV's Community Media Center's podcast station. And this Wednesday, we will be having a live stream telethon for the Great Give here in East Haven. So for any of you that have supported me enough to make it this far, I will in post leave the link to the East Haven TV Facebook page where we'll be live streaming. I'll be running camera. And of course, the link for the Great Give. Any donations of any amount would be greatly appreciated. This facility has done so much for me personally towards working towards my career goals, as well as being able to produce this content for all of you amazing people out there. So please support if you can. For more baseball takes, follow me on Twitter at DominicMana44, and I will catch you guys next Solo Shot Saturday. Peace.